Thank you for coming on my podcast finally.
Thank you for having me.
I've known you so long, it feels like this should have happened a long time ago. So I'm glad we finally got to sit down and could you just introduce yourself for anyone that does not know who the fabulous Yvette Bonanno is?
Well, Yvette Bonanno, chef, spokesperson for Louisiana Crawfish and Promotion Board. I'm a mom of two great girls, and originally, from Baton Rouge, a native, and now work with the Pizzolata family, and we operate a USDA manufacturing facility. So
as you know, you're going to have to speak to me like I'm a fifth grader, and you're a chef and a food person.
I'm a food person. Yes, I love food.
You love food.
Yes.
Where did your love for food originate?
So let's see. My dad opened a seafood market here in the middle of Baton Rouge in a strip mall, and I was 6 years old, and then gradually opened a restaurant, 15 franchises, four other restaurants, so a total of 5.
For reference, this is in Louisiana.
In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Houston, New Orleans.
I just feel that when you say I'm in the food industry in Louisiana, it just means more.
Well, I think, yes. I think everyone, you say Louisiana, it's food.
Yeah.
But, my dad, both of his parents are Sicilian. My mother's side is French. So we always grew up around great food. And then when we owned restaurants, you'd open the fridge and everything was styrofoam. We were
organized,
kind of constantly taking food from the restaurant and eating out of, styrofoam containers. My mom didn't cook much at home. So the ladies that worked for us in the restaurant were constantly cooking for me.
Would you say you grew up in the kitchens?
Definitely.
Okay. Can you tell me what is it like growing up in the kitchens of someone that has 15 locations? I mean, that's like a serious business. It must be all encompassing.
Well, it's kind of sad to say now, but for me to see my parents, I would have to go to the restaurant.
Sure.
I mean, anyone that's in this business knows it's extremely taxing. There's a lot of sacrifice that's involved. There's a lot of man hours, and we were only closed one day, which was Christmas, and volume. And so when I was 10, 11 years old, I would go in the salad room, and where they would be making the salads, my job was to put the dressings on the salads, and we would do like 1,500 covers a night. And I couldn't reach, so they built a little stool for me to jump up on and do the salad dressings.
Do you have any siblings?
I had an older sister, and then I have a younger brother.
Okay, and so you all grew up in the kitchen in the same way?
Yeah, so my little brother, conveniently enough, he was allergic to seafood, and we had seafood restaurants. So of course he got it. He was far removed.
He found out that real fast.
He didn't have to work. But yeah, no, I love this business, and I've seen it evolve. And when my parents thought I knew everything, or really my dad thought I knew everything, and I was encouraged to go to culinary school because I was working more in the restaurants than I was attending LSU.
Okay. What did you go to LSU for, by the way?
I was there. I was at LSU for about 2 years, and I was going into interior design.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was working so much at the restaurant that priorities were kind of shifted. And so I decided to go to culinary school. My mother always being the cheerleader, and my dad was always trying to convince me otherwise. He was losing a 70, 80-hour-a-week employee. So he was like, you don't need to go.
That makes sense.
You know everything about, frying catfish and hush puppies and making a roux. And I was like, yeah, but there's a bigger world out there. And I'm so glad I went.
So which culinary school did you go to?
I went to Johnson & Wales. And
I don't know what that is. Where is that?
They have multiple locations, but the one in Providence, Rhode Island is their flagship. And they have, and they still do, it's an advanced standing program to where if you have significant experience in the industry, and then you go up for a written exam and a practical cooking exam. Sure. That at the time they were accepting like 50 students across the country. So I qualified, and
what did that resume look like?
Well, it was like I wanted to go to CIA. Everyone was going to the CIA and in the 90s. And I got in, but when Johnson and Wales said for 1 year, you get a 2-year associate's degree, I was like, that's wildly attractive and financially smart. But just being up in New England was a culinary experience. I would walk through the grocery store and see the indigenous, ingredients that they had up north where we didn't have down here in the South. And then from there, I went to work for the Ritz-Carlton in St. Thomas. So, really going from the culinary school, family-owned restaurants to
Where were you headed
hotel.
at that point? So you grew up in your parents' restaurants. You then went to culinary school, and you were like on the track. So where were you headed when you were like, this is going to be my career?
I really didn't know. I was, I knew that I loved the food aspect, and there were so many avenues to take. I will tell you, right after culinary school, I was scouted by a Houston's restaurant. They were looking for chefs coming out of culinary schools, and they came down, recruited me, and went to Nashville for 6 months, did their program, and then really and truly the week before I was going into the management, I just said, they have consistency, they have great restaurants, but there is that glass ceiling, and I have zero. There's nowhere for me to be creative, no creative outlet. I mean, it was consistency, and everything on the menu was cooked every morning, and we would do taste panels. So I felt very boxed in, and I was, I literally packed up 3 of suitcases and my chef roll and flew down to St. Thomas on a one-way ticket and said, I'm going to find somewhere in the U.S., which is Croy, John, and St. Thomas. So I went to the best hotel on the property and, on the island, and I knocked on the back door of the Ritz-Carlton, and they said, we're not hiring. So I went back the next day, and they said, we're still not, we're not hiring. So I'm at the third day. We don't have a position. The fourth day I went back, Executive Chef Roy Koo came to the door, very petite Malaysian chef, and he goes, what do you want? I said, I want a job. And he goes, the only thing I have is in the pantry. I said, I'll take it. And so I started on that 5th day and went from the pantry to line cook to exec sous on the fine dining line. And then about that time, the Ritz-Carlton kind of sold out to the Marriott, and all the culinary teams were just kind of left. And
So I guess, because we started working together because of your many, many food-related promotional endeavors. I consider you to be probably one of the more active. How would I describe you? Foodie doesn't do you justice. Like, you are an excellent chef. So we first met when you were doing cable TV interviews, morning cooking shows, and that kind of stuff. And compliment. So when you're doing the cooking segment on a morning show, you see a lot of chefs come through there. And it is a very special skill to be able to actually cook something that it is edible within the 3 minutes of that cooking segment. And you're one of a very small handful of chefs that could always do that. And so I enjoyed eating after you were done. But so you got through your fancy career. How did you go from that to when we met?
Well, after I left the Ritz, I went to the Piedmont Driving Club, which is a club in Atlanta.
Food takes you places, doesn't it?
Yes. And I always travel where food is. And you always have great friendships, and you meet chefs and opportunities, like grab onto anything you possibly can. And then I was called back to Baton Rouge, and that was in the year 2000. Yeah. And that was kind of, I was executive chef and then corporate chef for Louisiana Pizza Kitchen, which that's Vaskin Seraps,
Sure.
who is just a great person to know here in Baton Rouge, and his family's been here a long time. But
at what point in this story did you realize that you were a better cook than your dad?
Oh, always.
Yeah. I was 8.
Well, my mother was, she truly was the curator, the prep, the, inventor of all those dishes. My dad was just the front guy. And, now he kind of jokes with me. He's like, Bonanno's Fine Catering was the name of my company. And now he has Bonanno's Catering. So when he needs me to do the fancy stuff, he'll call me in. But yeah, when you and I met, I was, promoting the pizza kitchen. And then again, it was just like, wow, corporate chef, I work 5 days a week. I want more. And then I opened Bonanno's Fine Catering. And that was really just, drinking out of the fire hose. I mean, it was like 7 days a week, 15, 16, 17-hour days.
Events and parties and weddings.
And then picked up Yvette Marie's Cafe and then opened up another one downtown in the Main Street Market.
Like 3 things at the same time ever since I've met you. It's kind of cool. I like people like that.
That keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah. So my wife told me not to ask you this question this way, but I'm going to anyway. So when did you develop an interest in balls?
Yes. Well,
Sorry.
I sold my businesses here in Baton Rouge, moved to Colorado. So I was gone for 11 years and then came back. And then the Pizzolatas were planning to do another venture. And then it kind of evolved into, we have a customer that wants a need. Mm-hmm. We have the boudin that Tony Seafood has been known for since the late 70s.
For those that don't know, the Tony Seafood.
Tony Seafood, yes. They used to own Louisiana Fish Fry. Mm-hmm. So with having a customer who had a need, having a recipe that's truly coveted and all of the seasonings and blends with Louisiana Fish Fry, finding a machine that allowed us to make these balls, it just kind of came together. And then so went to market with that boudin pepper jack ball. And then I'm like, if this machine can do this, well, I think it can do that, which was etouffee inside of a ball, red beans and rice inside the ball. Spinach and artichoke dip was kind of like, oh, it's on spinach and artichokes on everyone's menu. Let's encapsulate it. And
so you're to be specific, your balls, they are fried?
They're fried and 1 ounce. And currently, we're selling them to food service, which means they're going to restaurants, hotels, caterers, food trucks, country clubs, and sporting arenas, LSU.
So give me the list of all of the the flavors.
The flavors, yes. So the boudin with pepper jack, we went to market. And then the customers, when we went to market, said, okay, we need you to replace that plain boudin ball that we're currently serving from, say, another manufacturer. Mm-hmm. So we did. So our pepper jack's number 1, our plain boudin's number 2. Crawfish etouffee, red beans and rice with sausage.
That makes sense.
They're a tie for 3. Spinach and artichoke dip, and then our grits with pimento cheese. And then we're also making kibbe, which is the Mediterranean meat pie.
I'm not that fancy. I don't know what that is.
It's almost like a football shaped.
Yeah.
Here in Baton Rouge, we have roughly 70 Greek, Lebanese, Armenian restaurants. Huh. It outcounts the Mexican and Italian restaurants combined.
Okay.
So, had one of the restaurants come to us for a private label for them, and then we stemmed off and did our own version.
How do you put crawfish etouffee in essentially a fried boudin ball?
Takes a lot of trial and error. Again, we rely on this machine that we're fortunate to have one of these here in Louisiana, and we've just bought a second and a third. The consistency, viscosity, texture, temperature, timing, it all goes into play. These balls take us anywhere from 8 months to a year to perfect.
It's science.
It's yes. And then, it's culinary execution too. I'm fortunate Nick Gyro has been with me for 35 years with my family and has been cooking with me for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So I'm the gas, he's the brakes. And, when you're putting out a product, we do about 40,000 balls a day currently.
That's amazing.
And the machine does about 100 balls a minute. Once it's made, it has to be breaded. And that's where the precision of Louisiana Fish Fry comes in. That's, Tad Mitchell, a Pizzolata. He is our spice doctor. We get the
Is that on his
texture.
business card?
Yes, that's what he says. So, he takes the liquid batter to the exterior panko seasoned batter to a consistency of fine grind. And if one thing is off, then the product just won't perform. So we all say, 5 minutes freezer to fryer. We want to make it easy for back of the house. So
you're serving this to, you said, food companies. So is there anywhere, there's nowhere that consumers can go buy it right now?
you can buy them retail at Tony's Seafood.
Okay.
By a 12 count or about for a 100 count case is what we have for sale over there.
Very cool.
Yeah. So some of the grocery stores are even taking them in the deli section, frying them and selling them by the trays.
Nice.
Which, again, that's still food service. So you're not going to find them in a retail. I hate to say not yet. If it was a, there's a lot of
How long
interest.
We haven't even said the name of the name of your balls. What are they called?
CRAVE-A-BALL.
CRAVE-A-Balls, which I think is
CRAVE-A-BALL.
it's a good name.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that for?
So, it's a little over 3 years now.
So
and
3 years old. So there's a lot of room for growth.
a lot of room for growth. A lot of, it's great to be the new kid on the block.
Right.
We have a lot of distribution channels, which that's what helps move your product. So
It must be kind of cool. Like, that's a pretty saturated market you're selling into, and it's a new idea.
yeah, so we truly wanted to make product that no one else is making.
Yeah.
I did not want to, people give me an idea and I'm like, well, it's already out there. So it's much easier to create something in my mind than to go up against someone else who's making a similar thing and compete.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's always been find the customer, be creative, what's going to be next, what's trending, and then make it easy for back of the house. Labor is a challenge right now for food and beverage industry. It truly is. So it's like if I can take one thing off that prep list, make it to where they have 100% usable product, then I've done my job.
So, are you a food snob?
No.
No? What do you eat, like, day by day?
Oh, gosh. Well,
What's
I
your
will tell you,
go-to
I don't do
dish?
lunch. Anyone in this business who tells you they do lunch, then they're lying. No, I mean, I like everything from a street taco to, a quick, easy pasta. I love boiled seafood anytime that Tony's Seafood drops a box on my, I had boiled shrimp and crabs last night. No, I like properly executed, good food from the soul. I can feel when food's overworked. It's kind of, I was having a conversation with a chef friend of mine today.
Explain that to me. How do you know if food's been overworked?
Just when it's constructed and it feels, sometimes just doesn't relate. And that's of the fancier caliber of a meal that you might have. I think for me, gathering around with friends, with, great libation and enjoying, there's a lot of, I think, components, vibe that goes into a good meal. And
Who does the cooking in your house?
I do, but my kids know how to cook. And I love that about them. My daughter thought it would be great if she made Taylor Swift butternut squash ravioli with a brown butter, sage, cream. She's 13, but this was last year because she was trying to get Taylor Swift tickets.
Okay.
So she literally cut out Taylor Swift and, posted. And of course, we didn't get tickets, but, they went through a stage where they could only eat fresh pasta. So we were making fresh pasta every night. So I'm like, yeah.
Do you ever get bored of cooking? It's like I worked for a plasterer. It was my first job out of school. And he would finish, this is in England, he would finish walls down to their brick. So he'd strip them back and then he'd plaster them. And by the time he was done, it looked like marble. He'd take a doorway and he'd arch it. He invited me around to his house one day and I went to his house and it looked like it was a dump. I'm like, dude, with all the talent you have, what does your house look like this for? And he's like, it's the last thing I want to do when I get home. Do you ever feel that way about food?
No. I will tell you, cooking at this point in my life is only about 5 or 10%. And I long for it. When I go into R&D, yes, there's a lot that goes into it, but I love having people over. I love cooking. I will work a whole day and then say, what do you want for dinner? And then, my significant other's like, no, we're going out. I mean, are you kidding me? But, I'm not in the production as much as I would love to. I wish, and I think a lot of chefs will tell you that, especially executive chefs.
Yeah.
I mean, you only get maybe 10% of your time behind the stove. I mean, you're ordering, you're scheduling, you're solving all the world's problems.
What do you think of Gordon Ramsay? You have such a deep understanding of the industry and the thing that you see it differently. I think he's great. I think he's very entertaining.
Yes, well, I think it's an entertaining component. I mean, I love that there's been such a light that has been like. It's totally shined upon the culinary industry, and it excites me when I'll go into a cooking demo and a young boy or girl will walk up to me and they're like fascinated, and I'm just like, gosh, if we could get more people into our industry, it would be great. And instead of watching the television of, oh, these guys are so great, please pick up some knives, get out there and learn the craft. And it's not an easy craft to learn, but yeah, I mean, he's an entertainer.
All right, tell me about crawfish. You got the baseball cap
Yes.
on. I know about crawfish, but hit me. So, what's
Well,
your
I'm excited right now just because I know the crawfish season this year, and I've been the spokesperson for the crawfish board for 3 years now, getting ready to go on my 4th year.
And that's our most recent work together. So, yes.
And so we were cooking or just filming together with Twyla for the Louisiana Department of Agriculture. I always have to say that Holly Clegg was the face of the Louisiana Crawfish and Promotion Board, and certainly a female chef individual that I looked up to. So to fill those shoes, I just truly respected her, and I grew up in the seafood markets. I mean, my dad would get a van and we would drive down to, Breaux Bridge and pick up crawfish, and Golden Meadow and pick up bread, and drive back, and, just 2 seats in a van with ice on them. So I know crawfish very well. And 2 years ago, when we had just a dismal crawfish season, it was painful. I mean, it literally was roughly 150 million, 70 million in a loss of revenue, and farmers felt it. And last year, to see these farmers come back, and I love the protein. And
this year rocked.
Yes, and this upcoming year, from what I'm being told and what I'm seeing, it is going to be just another brilliant year for crawfish.
Indeed. Well, I'm looking forward to seasons. What, February, March, April, May?
Yeah, we're going. From what I'm told, we're going to see it early. I mean, last year I was eating crawfish on Christmas Day.
Nice.
So I'm just, and again, Tony's Seafood. I'm so fortunate that I have that avenue as well, just to have a pulse on what is going on from a retail perspective. And and I love working with you. The chefs that we have filmed with, they've really elevated the protein. And I feel like we're doing a great job just in educating people, around the country, how much we embrace crawfish.
We enjoy the work we do together. I mean, how can you not have a great time when you go out to a crawfish farm and hang out with some crawfish farmers and get able to do that stuff? So I'm looking forward to doing more of that in the upcoming season with you in your capacity as the spokesperson for Louisiana Crawfish, and I wish you all luck with your bulls.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, let's try some. They sound delicious.
Well, I'll have to bring some next time. So thanks so much for having me, and I appreciate it and love working with you. So.
You too.